All right, today we are diving into one of the biggest questions in the business world right now. It's all about technology, power, and what it even means to be a leader anymore. We're talking about artificial intelligence in the C-suite. So let's just cut right to the chase, shall we? Will your next boss be a robot? I mean, seriously, will things like your performance review, the company's big strategic vision, or even that pep talk before a huge project, will all of that be delivered by an algorithm? It's a massive question, for sure. And the answer? Well, it's not a simple yes or no. The truth is, it is incredibly complicated, and there are some really smart arguments on all sides of this thing. So we're going to break down what the research is telling us and figure out what's really going on as AI and leadership start to collide. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first up, let's just look at how AI is being used right now, on the ground. The big trend isn't really replacement, it's collaboration. So think of AI less like the new CEO and more like the ultimate co-pilot for a human leader.
And you know, this isn't some far-off futuristic idea. A recent survey of 150 business leaders found that 60% of them are already using AI tools in their day-to-day leadership. It is happening, and man, it is happening fast. So why are they doing it? Well, the benefits they're seeing hit right at the core of what leadership is all about. At the very top of the list, a whopping 72% say it improves their decision-making. Right behind that, you've got 68% pointing to increased efficiency, and 64% saying it enhances their strategic planning. AI is basically upgrading the very skills we expect our best leaders to have. But it's not just about these general benefits. If we dig a little deeper, a major review of all the literature on this has found 5 specific areas where AI is giving leaders what you could almost call a superpower.
Okay, so first, AI can actually build trust in governance by making things more transparent. Second, like we just saw, it totally supercharges decision-making with data. Third, it improves collaboration in HR, by automating boring tasks and finding the right people. Fourth, it boosts operational efficiency by just making workflows smoother. And get this, fifth, it actually opens up new leadership dimensions, like using sentiment analysis to give a leader a better sense of their team's morale.
But of course, it's not all sunshine and perfectly optimized workflows. You knew there was a but coming, right? Any powerful tool is a double-edged sword, and AI is absolutely no exception. There are some really serious risks that come along with this new co-pilot.
And this right here, this is the central tension of the whole thing. The promise is so clear. Amazing data-driven insights, way higher efficiency, better strategy. But the peril, it's just as real. Things like algorithmic bias secretly creeping in the decisions, and this growing gap between people who have AI skills and people who don't.
Let's just focus on that first one for a second, algorithmic bias. Because this is a huge deal. It happens when an AI is trained on our own historical data, and it ends up learning and even amplifying our own worst biases. A classic, real-world example of this? Amazon. They experimented with an AI recruiting tool and found it was actually penalizing resumes that had the word women's in them. Why? Because it had learned from a decade of hiring data from a male-dominated industry. The crucial part to understand is the AI didn't invent a new bias. It just held up a mirror to an existing one and made it bigger.
And these aren't just theoretical worries that people write about in papers. When leaders were actually surveyed on their biggest challenges with AI, the results were pretty stark. 55% said that skill gaps on their teams were a major hurdle. And right behind that, 50%, half of them, pointed to ethical concerns, just like the bias we were talking about. So this brings us to the very heart of the debate. You've got these incredible benefits on one hand, and these really significant risks on the other. So what's the ultimate destiny of AI in leadership? Well, researchers have pretty much identified 3 main schools of thought on this. So first, you have the enhancement perspective. That's what we've been talking about, right? AI is a powerful tool, a helpful assistant that just makes human leaders better. Second is the replacement perspective. This camp believes that as AI gets smarter, it's just inevitable that it'll take over leadership roles. Some are even predicting an AI on a company's board of directors by 2026. And third, you have the skeptical perspective. These folks argue AI is basically an oversold idea. They think its impact is exaggerated and its flaws, like bias, are so big that it can never truly replace complex human judgment. You know, this quote really gets to the heart of the argument against a full replacement. AI is logical. It can process data at a scale we can't even imagine. But great leaders, they're also creative. They're empathetic. They're intuitive. They manage the messy, complicated social and emotional stuff on a team. And for now, at least, those uniquely human skills seem to be the firewall against a total machine takeover. So where does that leave us? I mean, with all this back and forth, how should we actually move forward? Well, the consensus that's emerging isn't about picking a side in a debate, it's about forging a whole new path based on collaboration.
And this really brings us to the key takeaway. The future of leadership is not some epic battle of humans versus machines. The leaders who are going to win, the ones who will thrive, are the ones who learn to work with them. It's all about building a partnership where AI handles the data crunching, freeing up human leaders to focus on vision, on culture, and on creativity, the stuff we do best.
So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, the modern leader's playbook for this AI era really has 4 key moves. First, you've got to prioritize creating ethical frameworks to make sure everything's fair and transparent. Second, invest heavily in upskilling your teams to close those skill gaps. Third, you need to build a culture of adaptability, one that actually embraces new tech. And finally, you have to consciously work to master the art of human-machine collaboration.
Which leaves us with one last critical question to think about. Maybe the way we framed this at the start was all wrong. Maybe the question isn't whether AI will replace a great leader, but in a world where it offers such a clear advantage, will leaders who use AI inevitably replace those who don't? Now that is something to think about.